everybody, I have a dose for you, and I wanted you to know I wore my regular clothes today on purpose, and that is so you know this doesn't have to be a big deal or formal. You could drop down and do some of this stuff anytime, any place, especially when you're feeling stressed or a little achy. As long as your clothing isn't too bindy, you should be fine. So I'm going to get right down to it. We are going to be working on relaxed breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, and some movements of the pelvis and spine. And this does a great deal to free up your low back and any tension between your head and your tail. So come with me. Again, you may want to start in an arriving practice, just floating your head a little bit above your chest with a blanket. You could stretch out with your legs over a bolster for a while, but I'm going to start now with some breathing in constructive rest position, which is my feet are right under my knees, which are bent. Feet directly on the ground, pelvis, sacrum right on the ground, and base of my skull on the ground. So just take a relaxed breath, and you're thinking to yourself, my body and my breath, and my body and the earth. Now I'd like you to focus on the region of my low belly, my low ribs, low belly, and my hips and pelvis. And just let your hands maybe rest on your low belly right around your navel, and you want to invite this area to be very soft and relaxed as you breathe in. Notice if you can feel the belly rise and expand. And as you breathe out, can you feel it settle towards the floor? This isn't something you have to push your way through. This is more about softening inside yourself so you can perceive that motion that is natural and occurs while we breathe. So take a few intentional breaths where you're just letting your belly relax to get that flow of breath moving in you. And then place your hands, your fingers along your lower rib cage. Remember, this is the region where your diaphragm divides your abdominal cavity and your chest cavity. So we want to focus on the diaphragm as we segue into diaphragmatic breathing. So along with your belly expanding outward and upward as you inhale, tune into the feeling of your ribs down here gently expanding outward as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, just feel how they gently recede or hug inward. And continue breathing like that as long as that feels comfortable. And you could also tune into your length from the top of your chest to the base of your pelvic floor. Belly still expands, rib cage still expands. And now you're just tuning into your length. And then see if you can hold all three of those dimensions in your awareness at once, as if you were a balloon that was expanding in all directions as it gets air. Front to back, side to side, and top to bottom. Now, if you haven't begun already, let your inhalation come in silently. This really helps funnel the effort into your diaphragm and get it out of your neck and shoulders. When your exhale comes around, let it come out with more gusto, like a heavy sigh. Sighing that exhale out just really helps get any stale air out of you. And it's also a really good exercise for helping you dump out some of the stress or tension you might be experiencing mentally or emotionally. Silent inhales and sighing exhales. And that's just a great practice to do anywhere and everywhere. Now, begin letting some small movements come in, initiating at the base of your spine. As you exhale, let your tailbone curl upwards towards the sky and feel your low back drop towards the floor. As your inhale surfaces, let your tailbone tip downward towards the floor and feel your low back come up off the floor. Tail curling under, back dropping, exhale. Tail curling towards the earth, back coming up, inhale. And then just allow that motion to pause. Feel the base of your spine settle. And from the tip of your tail, imagine you're like a happy dog and swing your tail to one side of the room, back through the midline, and then towards the other side of the room. Keep your breath flowing. Notice as you swing your tail one direction, that side of your waist shortens. Your clothing gets wrinkled. The other side stretches out. Come through center, go to the other side, and then you just reverse that. One side smoothed out, the other side is shortened. Just let the base of your spine stay on the floor. And there's just lateral movements of the spine. And then rest in center. Take a breath. And then watch. You're going to push one foot and let that hip rise towards the sky a little bit and feel how your pelvis slants. It lets your other hip drop towards the floor. And then let it come back to level. And then push the other foot down. Let that hip kind of hike towards the ceiling. The other side slants down towards the ground. Breathing stays steady. Breathing stays smooth. And just notice how this movement travels through you, just like the movement of your breathing travels through you. And then you could let this evolve into any combination of those movements, tilting, swinging, slanting, almost as if you were curling your pelvis around the face of a clock. I'm doing it the other direction now. None of this should be fast or jarring. It should be very smooth and considerate. And at any moment, just pause and take a breath and feel into the effects of what you've just done. And then you may feel like another round of that. When you feel complete with that, roll to one side. Use your hands to sit up tune in for more doses.